Hello, everyone. Welcome to another amazing Monday on the Wholeness Project, where we just share a lot of information about mental health, relationships, family, and spirituality for your restored wholeness and renewed focus in life. You and I can tell we're living such in a very trying time and seasons in our lives in our world today that we encountered a lot of challenges that causes so many of us, to just be in a place of pain, of wonder, if we are ever going to go survive what is going on in our world today. But I always want to bring us good news in the midst of the bad news that we encounter every day in our lives. And today I have another awesome and amazing good news that I want to share with us on the Wholeness Project today. So today I'm going to be discussing a subject on relationships. Like I always say, when it comes to relationship, I like just making it cut across family, relationship, business, career, and other areas of our lives. So today I'm going to be looking at the subject healing the wounds you bring into your relationships. Healing the wound you bring into your relationship. The reality is this: we always say, because hurt people, healed people. In other words, what that means, people who are broken, people who are brokenhearted have a large tendency to hurt the emotions and feelings of other people. But people who are healed, they have the capacity, to heal people also. So today I'm going to be sharing on the subject, and like I always quickly want to share, you want to know more about me, my name again is Joel Sebo. I have a master's in clinical mental health counseling, and I'm a national certified counselor. I do quite a lot of relationship and mental health coaching. I do consulting, and also I'm a wellness educator, just helping people, have just restored your whole, again, people to get restored their wholeness and renewed focus. And I'm the convener of the Wholeness Project that is focused on looking at four pillars that impact your life, our lives, as the pillar of family, the pillar of relationships, the pillar of mental health, and the pillar of spirituality. If you want to get more information about us and about our organization, is www.joelosebo.com and fgicoaching.com. And if you want to get in touch, you can give us a call, you can send us an email, and I'll be rest assured that I'm going to respond to you. Like always, before I go on, I like to always, go through what we're going to be discussing about today for the next 30 to 35 minutes. I'll be looking at the wound transfer problem. Remember, we're talking about the wounds that you bring into your relationship. Every one of us, we call it baggage. We always come with one form of baggage into our relationship. For some of us, we come with so many forms of baggages into our relationship. So we're going to be looking at the wound transfer problem, what it's about, those unhealed problems. We look at types of relational wounds. I'm going to be discussing about how wounds show up in love. A lot of the time, you're in love with someone, but you find out that the person that you love remain the person that hurts your emotion the most. So we're going to look at that also. We'll be looking at the neuroscience of relational pain. We want to see how your brain functions when you're going through pain, and that pain causes you to hurt other people. Then we'll look at the CBT healing tools. Like what I always want to do, I want to make sure that every episode that I take, I want to be able to provide you the strategies, the interventions, and the techniques that you can use to overcome the struggles and the challenges that you might be facing. Then I'm going to look at the dialectical behavioral therapy and the acceptance therapy healing tools that you need to overcome that. And I always say this is optional. The faith-based integration. A lot of the time, for most people, what helps them go through their challenges, their struggles, is their spirituality and their faith. So there's a level of faith-based integration that I'm going to be discussing that can help as many individuals who wants to integrate faith-based into their healing process. Then lastly, I'll share with you, as always, my 7-day healing plan. And what I want you to do right now, you can share this video, you can share this link, the Facebook link, Joel Osebo 1, you can share with people out there on YouTube, also Joel Osebo on Instagram. You can share with your friends and your families. Let them join us, because the reality is this: I can say over 90% of us come into our relationship with different forms of baggages and different forms of wound. And being able to be healed from this wound determines how far our relationships can go. And so, I statistically, like I always do, I always want to show some statistics about this. Don't forget, hurt people hurt people. That is, hurting people hurt people. Not because they want to, but because unhealed wounds demand an outlet. And that's the reality. When you're dealing with a wound in your life, when you have not overcome it, when you have not healed it, when you have not processed those emotions and those feelings, it's always going to come out. It will play out in your relationship between your spouse, your partner, your children, your colleagues, your boss at work, and so many other things. So that's why it's important that we must have an outlet for every unhealed wound. Statistically, 70% of adults have experienced at least one significant relational trauma. Every one of us may have experienced heartbreaks, even if it is your high school sweetheart. Someone would have broken your heart. You may have experienced relational trauma as a kid, from parents, from uncles, from aunties, from your bosses, from spiritual leaders, just name it. Every one of us, 70% of us as adults, we have experienced at least one significant relational trauma. 40% of children develop insecure attachment styles that follow them into adult life. What that means, they are not secure. They are stressed. They don't trust people easily because of the trauma they've experienced growing up. And as a result of that, the chances of them hurting other people's emotion is very high. Then 3 to 4 times, people who are hurt 3 to 4 times are more likely to experience depression and anxiety with childhood adverse experiences. People who are truly hurt, I mean, 3 to 4 times, I mean, they're going to experience their childhood disappointment. And that's why this subject today is something that is very, very concerning, not just to me, but to many of us, so that we can be successful in our relationship. 5 year average year age of first significant emotional wound in family system. So when people from the age of 5 years, people begin to experience this level of emotional wound in their family. Then also, 68% of people in therapy identify childhood relational pain as a primary issue. I've seen this in my sessions. Adults, lots of you adults in their 50s, in their 40s, in their 30s, in their 60s, just showing the signs of childhood relational challenges that they experience. The 90% of emotional triggers in relationships are linked to past, not present pain. I take that again. 90% of emotional triggers in relationships are linked to past, not present pain. So right now you might be in a relationship, you might be in a marriage, you might be going, just what about those relationships? 90% of the pain you are experiencing in that relationship is it's linked to those unhealed relational issues from the past. So 90% of us, we bring all of those pains into our relationship, and it can hurt us too bad, and we're not able to give our best to those people we should give our best to. So, but in this episode today, my goal is to provide us with the strategies, with the interventions and techniques that can help us, process and heal ourselves from past relationships, so that we can enjoy the present relationship we have as we move on to a better future with other people in our spaces. And so, what I'm looking at next here is um, naming your wound. This is very important. I mean, when it comes to relational wound, there are different types of relational wound. A relational wound is any experience of significant emotional pain within a relationship that was not adequately processed, validated, or healed, and that now shapes how you connect, trust, and love. Relational wound will always come up, but once they are not adequately processed, they are not adequately validated or healed, it shapes how you connect with other people, it shapes how you trust other people, and it shapes how you express love. And that's why it's important. This subject today is something that I want you to take. I don't want you to take it lightly, because it's going to go a long way to bring healing and respite to you. So, what are the types of relational wounds? One, we have abandonment. When we talk about abandonment, what does it mean? It's a physical or emotional absence of a primary caregiver. And this creates deep fear. I am not enough to make people stay. Many of us will experience this even as adults, because you had this feeling of abandonment. Someone you love, somebody you care, they abandoned you when you needed them the most. And because they did that to you, when you get into other relationships, you begin to have that fear. Will this person stay? Will he leave? Will she stay? Will they stay? So when there's relational hurt, people are scared of being abandoned. Another one is betrayal. Betrayal, what does it mean? It means being lied to, cheated on, or deceived by someone trusted. This shatters the foundational belief that people are safe. When you are betrayed, it's difficult to trust people. I tell you the truth. When you are truly betrayed by someone you love, by someone you care, it's difficult to trust people. That's why you meet people sometimes, they say, I don't trust people easily. I take time to know people before I trust them. You know why? Because they have been betrayed. So when you see somebody that is withdrawn, somebody that doesn't just want to open up, don't castigate them. Don't just conclude on them. There is a reason why they are behaving the way they are behaving. They may have been betrayed in the past. Another relational wound is rejection, being excluded, dismissed, or told verbally or non verbally that you are not wanted or acceptable as you are. And this is a big one. It's happening to a lot of our adults and young adults. When people don't accept you, when people reject you, it hurts so bad. And as a result of that, people take that into relationship, feeling as if they'll be neglected, they'll be rejected. So it's what I mean, how does this show up? People begin to you become people pleaser, you perform for love, you avoid vulnerability, there's a lot of self-sabotaging that happens in that place. Another relational wound is neglect. What is neglect? Is emotional or physical needs consistently unmet. The wound of invisibility, being present but not seen, known or valued. People feel a lot of this when they feel as if they are not seen, they are not heard, they are being neglected. It causes people to do what? To have relational wound. And how does this show? People begin to have this difficulty in expressing needs. They become over dependent. They are emotion. They become like emotional numbers, and they shut down easily. This is real, and this is happening to a lot of people in our world today. Another relational wound is shame. What does shame mean? It means the deep belief that something is fundamentally wrong with who you are, not just what you did. Shame hides in silence. This is a big one, and that's why today's discussions and today's program, wholeness project, is to help you deal with the impact of shame. Shame can cause you to withdraw, and shame thrives in silence. When you're silent, when you're withdrawn, it prevails a lot. It has a lot of stronghold over you. Then, lastly, one of those relational wounds is abuse and trauma. What does this mean? Physical, emotional, sexual, or spiritual violation. When you're right, when who you are is not respected and you're being abused. And what this happens, it creates nervous system dysregulation that allows the original event. When people are abused, when people are going through trauma, it has a lot, it causes the brain to dysfunction a lot. And the event that happened, whatever happens in the life of people after then actually outlasts them. Then also, how does this show up? People begin to experience PTSD responses. They have triggers, they have dissociation, there's fawning, there's fight to flight in intimacy. Look, relational wounds, when not really processed, when not really shared, when not really healed, it can cause us a lot of hurt in our relationships, whether in families, in our relationship, marital relationship, or you're just caught in your mental health and also your spirituality. All of those things, they hurt our emotions. But I know in this discussion, we are going to be able to provide a lot of intervention that will help us. All right, great. So the next subject I want to discuss here is going to be on the wounds, how wounds show up in love. Wounds always will show up in love, patterns you may not even recognize in yourself. And it's important we are able to deal with this. Your past is not just history, It is an active participant in every relationship you have right now. I'm going to say that again. Your past is not just history, it is an active participant in every relationship you have right now. So don't think, oh, it happened in the past, it's not going to happen again. No, your past is participating in what is going on right now. Everything that is being played out in your current relationship, in your marriage, in whether it has to do with your family, your relationship, your mental health, your spirituality, everything that happened to you in the past is playing out right now. And if we don't effectively deal with them, you don't effectively process them, you don't heal from them, it's going to hurt your current relationships and also hurt the future relationships that you are going to have. Now, there are few things I want us to look at, some few patterns: emotional reactivity and triggers. Your partners says something ordinary, but your wound hears a threat, a tone of voice, a word, a delay in texting because of the old pain. You react to the past, not to the present. So a lot of the time, because of what happened to you in the past, any little thing that happens, it reminds you of the past. So that's what we call emotional reactivity and triggers. When something that led to your trauma or led to your hurt from the past, when there's a little trace of it in the present, it triggers. It triggers emotional reactivity, and before you know what, you explode. You are angry, you are bitter, you become resentful, and you begin to live in the trauma of the past. Another one there is attachment insecurity, anxious attachment, that is clinging, testing, and fear of abandonment. So, I mean, when you've experienced this form of attachment in the past, it comes up in your current relationship. Also, avoidant attachment, for example, bringing up walls, emotional distance, and discomfort with intimacy, both are wounded response to early relational pain. So if a lot of us are having an attachment insecurity today, it's as a result of those avoidant attachments that we had in the past, or anxious attachment that happened in the past. Then also the third one, how this shows up in your relationship today, is self-sabotage. What does self-sabotage comes with is unconsciously destroying what is going on well, because being loved feels dangerous. Starting fights before vulnerability, living before being left, recreating the familiar even when it is painful. Because of what we've experienced in the past, we begin to self-sabotage ourselves. What is not happening right now, we begin to imagine that it's happening right now because we experienced them in the past. When we do that in our current relationships, it affects the excitement, the joy of the current relationship, and affects the one of the future. Another way that your wounds show up in your relationship is projection and misattribution. What does this mean? Seeing your wound in your partner, assuming betrayal, rejection, or contempt where none exist, fighting the person in front of you as if they were the person who hurt you before. A lot of people are faced with this struggle and challenges because of how they were treated in the past. Even when they have a good relationship in the present, they begin to assume this current individual to be that past person. And there's no way we can thrive, we can be successful, we can have a very lovely relationship with the ones we see right now because of what happened to us in the past. And also emotional unavailability. What does this mean? How does this show up in your current relationship? It's about keeping others at arm's length to avoid getting hurt again. You are physically present but emotionally absent. Intimacy feels like danger because last time you opened up, it cost you everything. And I tell you, quite a lot of people feel this way because you were nice, you were kind, you were loving, you were caring to the past relationship, your husband, your partner, your friends, and they disappointed you. So right now, in your current relationship, you don't want to trust, you don't want to open up because of what you experienced in the past. That's what we call emotional unavailability. Then hyper independence. What does hyper independence mean? It means refusing to need anyone because needing was punished. Wow. I will just do it myself. This looks like strength, but it's actually a wound that makes sustained intimacy almost impossible. At some point in time, quite a lot of us are going to face this because of what was dealt with you, what was dealt with us in the past. We really want to go all by ourselves. We want to do the thing ourselves because we don't want to need anyone. We don't want people to hurt our emotions. We don't want people to hurt our feelings. Then also, there's what we call fawning and people pleasing, saying yes when you mean no, disappearing to keep the peace, abandoning your own needs to maintain approval. This is a trauma response, not a personality trait. I've seen this in counseling sessions. We just want to keep the peace, we just want to maintain the peace, whereas it's because we don't want to be hurt based on our previous experiences with such individuals. That is not a great way for us to bring healing to our relationships. Then, lastly, there's what we call repetition compulsion. What does this mean? Unconsciously choosing partners who recreate the original wound because the familiar feels like home, even when home was painful. Until healed, many people repeat the same relationship with different faces. And this is true, guys. A lot of us, we experience a bad relationship in the past coming from a dysfunctional home. And so there's somewhere in our brain, in our mind, we're just living that life cycle is what brings us comfort. But actually, it's very dangerous to us. In this episode, I'll be sharing with us how we can deal with such situations and circumstances in our lives. And so let's make some quick progress here on another amazing topic, how the kind of the place, how the neuroscience of relational pain, what trauma does to your brain and your body. Understand this is not weakness. Relational trauma produces real measurable neurological and physiological changes. Understanding the science is the first step toward having compassion for yourself and for your partner. What I'm saying here, beyond logic, beyond thinking, beyond emotions, beyond feelings, beyond the compassion, we must understand there's a neuroscience angle to this. You must understand that your brain is reacting to something, your mind is reacting to something. So if you're feeling, you felt betrayed, you felt rejected, you felt abandoned, it is not a weakness. It is your body reacting to something that should not have happened to you. So, but what I'm saying with this slide is this: the first place for you to begin to gain your recovery, your wholeness, is to understand the science of how what you are dealing with affect your brain. So, the first thing is what happens in the brain when you're dealing with all of these emotional hurt. What happens in the brain? The amygdala becomes hyperactivated. It fires straight even in safe relationship because your brain responds to the experiences that it has on a daily basis. So when you have been hurt, when you have been brokenhearted, you've been disappointed, it always fires all the time, even in phase in safe relationship. Your hippocampus, your memory center, is altered. Past pain feels present. So because of the pain you dealt with, everything you go through makes you feel as if you are repeating the circle again. Your prefrontal cortex goes offline. Your logic loses to survival instinct. When you're dealing with pains, you're dealing with hurt, you want to survive. Then your neural pathways hardwire the belief relationship danger. Anytime you think about relationship, you think about danger. Then your neuroplasticity means this pathway can be rebuilt with the right work. What does this mean? If you have been broken in the past, if you have been hurt in the past, with true neuroplasticity, plasticity, your brain can be rewired. The process, you can regain healing to understand that whatever you have dealt with in the past, no, yeah, it happened to you, but you can make progress with your life. You can succeed in every other thing you do. Then there's what we call the attachment styles and the brain. One, secure attachment, early co-regulation built a stable nervous system baseline. So with a secure attachment, that is you're in a healthy relationship, you're in a fruitful relationship, there's this baseline that it creates for you. You're safe to go into other relationship. You're not scared to start relationship, you're not scared to build one. So when you have a secure attachment, then there's what we call the anxious attachment. With anxious attachment, caregiving, people experience a situation where they are caregivers, people that should be there for them, there was inconsistency. So the brain is wired for hypervigilance. When the people didn't experience care, experience love, they become anxious with relationship. Then avoidant attachment, needs were dismissed. When they needed something, when they asked for things, it was dismissed. And what happens to the brain is the brain begin to learn to suppress emotions. Or it may not be given to me. If I say this, they will not respond to me. Then also there's what we call the disorganized attachment. Here, the caregiver was both source of comfort and fear. So there's going to be a lot of confusion. I mean, is this person truly loving me? But they act this way. They threatening to me, and at the same time showing love. Then lastly, there's what we call the all insecure styles can be moved towards insecurity with healing. So what I'm saying, when you look at disorganized attachment, avoidant attachment, anxious attachment, when you when you process your emotions, you process your feeling, you can begin to, want to reconnect with other people and live a very fruitful and successful life. Also, when it comes to what trauma does to your brain and body, your body level trauma story, what happened? According to Bezel van der Kolk, the body keeps the score. Trauma lives in tissue. In other words, the pain you feel, you can feel it in your body. You can feel it in your emotions. You can feel it in your bones. You can feel it. You can have headache a lot of the time when you deal with traumatic situation. Then chronic tension, shallow breath, and gut issues are trauma's physical home. So when you're feeling those pains, you begin to have those chronic tension, to shallow breath, your breath becomes very difficult. You begin to have gut related issues because trauma finds itself in your physical body. There's tattoo responses. You experience freeze state and dissociations and nervous system wounds. You begin to feel abnormal. You don't feel like the real you because of all of the things you're dealing with. Then somatic healing in terms of your body-based work is essential. Talk alone is insufficient. You begin to feel a lot of sensation in your body. But the good news is the vagus nerve is the highway between safety, connection, and calm. What we're saying is this: in spite of all of the hurt we may have we may have experienced in our relationship, with neuroscience, the body, the mind, and the brain, as you process your emotions, you process all of the struggles that you have dealt with or you're dealing with, you can have healing again. You can experience wholeness. You can experience renewed focus in life. All right, so quickly, let's look at how you can rewire the beliefs formed by pain. So when you use the CBT tools, using the CBT healing tools, you can actually rewire the beliefs formed in pain. Your wounds created beliefs. Your healing begins by identifying, challenging, and replacing them. So a lot of the times, wounds actually create those belief systems in us. But when we begin to regain healing, then we can identify, we can challenge them, and we can also replace them. So one of the first things you quickly do, you have to identify core wounds. Identify those core wound beliefs. Name what those beliefs are. Say it. When you do that, then your healing process starts. Then the belief evidence test. You do what we call the belief evidence test. Take the one belief and test it. What evidence supports this? What evidence challenges it? How might your 10-year-old self have formed this belief? Is it still serving you or protecting you? So you got to challenge the belief of what has happened to you. Then you do cognitive reprocessing. What does it mean? Replace the one belief with a healing truth. I am. So, for example, if when you say I am unlovable, you can replace it with I am deeply worthy of consistent, safe love. In other words, I call that thought replacement. Replace your thought, replace all of those wounds with better thought. Then trigger mapping. What do you do with trigger mapping? For each emotional trigger in your relationship, trace it back. This reminds me of this. The feeling underneath this is what caused the feeling. Then the original one was dodge. So you map the past to present connection so that you will be able to see what those emotional triggers are. Then your behavioral experience. Test the wound belief in safe relationship. If asking for help gets me help, try asking once in a safe space. Then track the actual result. Build a new body of evidence that challenges the wound verdict. So what that means, what has happened to you in the past, you can begin to look, okay, Is the past really controlling this present relationship? Then just put to test, ask questions, ask for help, and you see that you can deal with all of those assumptions that may have come from past hurt. Then the inner child letter. So write a letter to the version of you who was first wounded. Acknowledge what happened. Validate the pain. Tell that child what they deserve and what you know to be truth about their worth. In other words, you can change the narrative. You can change the story, the pain, the narrative, what you've experienced. You can actually change the story. So that is using the CBD tools. Now, using the DBT tools and the ACT tools, one of the few ones that I've recommended here is what I call the tip: reset the triggered body. So, in other words, using temperature through using intense exercise, space breathing, progressive relaxation, you used when the wound is activated and you are in a flooded reactive state. How do you do that? You pour cold water upon yourself. You take some breathing, maybe box breathing. You can do triangle 3-3-3 or 4-4-4. All of this exercise can help you calm your body. Then do opposite action, break the wound pattern. What does it mean? So wound says hide, do the opposite. Share one safe thing. Wound says run, do the opposite. Stay and name what you need. This is how you begin to break the compulsion circles. That's what you want to avoid, the compulsion circle. Then there's the radical acceptance of the wound. What happened to you was real. It was painful, it was unfair, and it happened. What does radical acceptance says? I stop fighting the reality of my past and begin working with what is. This is very important. Then interpersonal effectiveness in vulnerability. There's some skills like we call give skill. That means gentle, being interested, validate, easy manner, practice asking for what you need from a healed place, not a demanded, guarded, or desperate place. Then also build mastery daily. What does it mean to build mastery daily? It means do one thing each day that builds self-efficacy and self-worth, not to perform for others, but to prove to your wound that you are capable, safe, and growing. This is going to help you a lot. A great tool that will help you. Another one is the acceptance and commitment therapy. Here, you build an identity beyond the wound and live towards your value. This is all about you creating your value system. So, diffuse from the wound narrative. I am broken. I will always be hurt. No one stays. Notice these are stories formed in pain, not eternal truth. I notice I'm having the thought that I'm unlovable. It's you noticing it. It's not the reality of your life. Then you define your healed identity. Who are you beyond your wounds? Your pain shaped you. It does not own you. Always understand that. Then present moment healing. Wounds pull you into the past. Healing anchors you in the now. Practice noticing, is this person in front of me actually the one who hurt me? Who do I actually know to be true? What do I actually know to be true right now? Then value-based relationship. Choose relationship and responses in relationships based on your value, not your wounds. Ask, what would a healed whole version of me do in this moment? Then lastly, committed action toward wholeness. Healing is a daily commitment, not a single moment. Each day, choose one act of self-compassion, one moment of vulnerability, one courageous truth. This is how wholeness is built. I know this is a lot of work to do, but you know what? It helps in the process of healing your heart so that you can have successful relationships. Because if we not do all of those tools and techniques that I've shared, it's going to help you quite a lot. If we don't do them, we may end up not enjoying the relationships we have right now. A lot of people are enduring their relationships, but with these tools and techniques, the goal is for your restored wholeness and renewed focus to be a better version of yourself. And quickly, or for faith-based integration, for many of us who believe in faith, you believe in God, you believe in the word of God, you believe in the power of the Holy Spirit. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wound. That is what God will do and can do for you. So God sees and names your wound. God knows your wound. Your wound is not hidden from God. God's that's the reality. Begin healing by bringing the wounds to God before you bring it to anyone else. So when you're feeling the pains, you're feeling the heartbreak, you're feeling the disappointment, always bring it to God first. Then also the healing power of lament. So don't suppress your grief. It's not faith. It is avoidance, wearing spiritual. It's okay to grieve because the book of Lamentation was written by a prophet that was grieving. So it is good to grieve. Grieve. Lament is holy. Cry, grieve, rage, question. God can hold all of it. I'm super excited a lot of the time when I feel those pains in my life that I can just pour out to God. Then healing begins where honesty begins, even in prayer. Just say it to God the way it is. Then identity beyond your history. You are not your wound, your history, or your worst experience. Notice that your identity is not what was done to you, it is who God says you are. Daily renewing of your mind is spiritual neuroplasticity. Then, lastly, community and professional healing. Healing happens in the context of safe relationship, not isolation. Faith and professional counseling is equal to whole person, God designed restoration. Seeking a counselor is wisdom, not weakness. So what I'm saying here is this: from a place of faith-based integration, you can find healing, you can find wholeness. Don't do this by yourself. We all come with some form of baggages from our past relationships into our current relationship, and we can find wholeness, we can find healing, because hurting people hurt people. People who are healed heal others. That's what this series has been about: how you can be healed so that you can heal other people. All right, as we bring this to a close, this is just my 7 days healing plan for you. So day one, I want you to name it. Write down 1 to 3 wounds you carry from past relationship. Name them clearly, then trace it. For each wound, trace one way it currently shows up in your relationships. Be honest about it. Then feel it. Spend 10 minutes sitting with the pain of one wound without fixing it, explaining it, or numbing it. Then day four, challenge the wound. Identify the core belief your wound created. Write it down. Then ask, is this 100% truth? Then speak it out. Share one vulnerable truth with a safe person, your partner, a counselor, a trusted friend, or God in prayer. Grieve it. Write a lament. God, here is what happened. Here is how it hurt me. Here is what I needed and didn't get. And here is what I need from you now. Give yourself permission to fully grieve. Then lastly, commit to it. Decide with intention to pursue healing beyond this week. Book a counseling appointment. Join a support group. Start a healing journal. Healing is a decision you make before it is a feeling you have. I love that a lot. You have to make that decision that you want to be healed and you're willing to go through the process. And so, as we bring this episode to a close, I want to assure you one thing that is certain: your wounds are not your identity, it's the reality. Your wounds are not your identity. They are the beginning of your testimony. When you have the right support, just the kind of support we provide here at FGI Solutions, you are going to be on that journey to your recovery. It might not take a day, it might not be a day, it might not be a week, it might not even be in a month or 2 months or 3 months. But the beautiful thing is you will be making progress daily and gradually. And that's what we are here for, to provide that support to you in FGI Solutions. So if you want to talk to a coach, you want to talk to a counselor, you can reach us. You can get to our Facebook, our website page, joelosebo.com, fgicoaching.com, or you send us an email or just even a phone call. We are going to have that discovery call with you to explore what the issues are, what you're dealing with, and we're going to just work together to see that you have restored wholeness and renewed focus. It's been your friend Joel Osebo, the convener of the Wholeness Project, and it's my prayer that whatever hurt you have brought from the past, you will find healing using these strategies that we have shared and integrating your faith base to enjoy your current relationship as we look forward into the future. Same time next week, Monday, 9:15 a.m. Eastern Time Zone. Join us again for the Wholeness Project. Bye for now.